getting a qualification, which of course in itself is really, really important, but it's not the only thing.
Without the life skills, it's not going to make any. You could be degree qualified.
That's right. We work with a whole range of people, and we have a good link with a range of charity shops. And one of the senior people in the shop said you could send me a person probably with 10 qualifications, and his attitude will stink. But you could send me somebody with no qualification who's absolutely dedicated, and I'll take the second person.
Absolutely. You see, I'm a huge advocate of education. I work a lot with education, but the thing that I'm driving home to all of the schools within Milton Keynes and the ministers and anybody else who wants to listen, if the education minister happens to listen to this, please do pop in. I would love to have a conversation with you on it. Education and the school system and exactly what you're doing in prison, the stuff that you do with the soft skills, sadly is lacking from our school system at the moment.
Right.
And it's absolutely key. Fine, yes, you need the qualifications, you need the understanding, you need the bones, but that's just the brickwork. You need the right attitude, and
I think
the
that's
attitude
right.
has to be there.
The interesting thing for us is that the way that our contract works, and I don't want to talk money because that's incredibly dull, but we only actually get paid if a learner completes a qualification. So if I spend sort of 6 weeks working with a learner, with a student on their soft skills, if it's not linked to a qualification, I don't get paid for that. And that's just the nature of the way the funding mechanism works.
Well, there has to be something, doesn't there?
That's right. And so it drives you into doing those softer skills and having to put a qualification around it, which isn't always the best thing for a learner. But if we don't do it, you can't exist because you can't earn the money.
Well, at the end of the day, that is important.
That's right. It's a really, really fine balance. So we try to embed as much of those skills as we can into the wider work that we're doing. So when you're doing barbering, plastering, plumbing, whatever you might be doing, actually you're not just doing the qualification, you're doing all of the other things around that as a part of that qualification, because it's though it's not written down in the criteria of the qualification, that's actually what we need to be doing with them.
Isn't it? I mean, from my perspective, I know it's easier for me to learn things if there's something I want to do with it, if there's an end result. And I can, I'm talking for myself, but I can see that being a way that happens within a lot of education, where actually studying, I don't know, pure business, if you like, is hard. It's dull. And I think, I've been a business consultant for a number of years now. I love business, but I would be bored to tears doing a business course.
Yeah.
Yet, if you look at development and how things change and what impacts on what, and you actually teach it as a whole, and you say, I tell you what, why don't you set up a business and run it, you can teach all of those skills while understanding how they actually knock on into the real world, and that's the key.
That's
isn't
right.
it?
And I think for us it's very important that we can have a hook with the women and the men that we work with, because historically education in prisons has just been seen as an activity. It's something to do to keep them occupied, and if they're occupied there's not going to be trouble in the prison. I mean, that's a very black and white way of putting it, but when I first started in prisons that was very much about what it was. It was, Sally, can you come in this evening and do a backgammon club? That will keep them quiet in the evenings. And that was very much the approach. Well, now how we try to work with our students is to say, there's a real requirement for you to improve your maths, improve your English. But why? Why do you need to improve your maths, improve your English? Well, you remember you told me you wanted to set up your own business. You're on a starter to nothing if you can't write legibly, if you can't work out your VAT calculations, if you can't talk to the bank coherently. So we try to work with them to see the purpose of what it is that they do.
Learn this, you can then have that. Yeah.
And then, ideally try and work with them when they're quite close to transitioning out, to work with probation services or with ourselves or with some of our employer links to say, there you go, that's your way out as you're going through the gate. Now, they don't all take it. They're not all in the right mindset, but we do have successes.
Is it voluntary to the inmates, or to the students? Let's not call them inmates. Let's kick to the students.
Let's call them students.
Is it a voluntary course, or is it compulsory?
It's different. In some prisons, they will make it mandatory for everybody to get maths and English at level 1, which is the equivalent to where you should be at 11 years old. And in the terminology, that makes you functional. So you'll generally be able to get by if you've got level 1, level 2 maths and English. Yeah. Otherwise, prisons will run it in different ways. Some will say you have to do a health and safety qualification if you want to take up a particular job in the prison. So they have to do that.
Sense,
it's the same as if you went to work in a kitchen here, you have to do your health and safety qualification. So some will be mandatory, but mostly people will choose what they want to do. And it's our role when we see the guys coming in on induction to talk to them about what's available and to try and advise them with the career service. And the National Career Service is available in prisons just the same as it is externally. In fact, it's probably easier to access in a way. To talk to them and say, look, you really think about what your options are. Do you really want to work on the wing as a cleaner because you maybe earn a little bit more money, or you're going to think a bit more long term about it, and we can help you do that. So we have a selling job to do, but we are doing it in their best interest.
And also put them in the, I suppose, select. Actually, because as you mentioned, the way the funding goes, you must put a lot of effort into ensuring that the students that sign up for the relevant course, it's the right course for them as much as anything else.
That's right, because it doesn't benefit either of us. If I just sign them up for a course and they don't want to stay and they leave, I won't earn any money for it, so what's the point in doing that? But actually that's incredibly demoralising for them, and that's probably what's happened to them all their lives. They've gone to school, it's not worked, they've dropped out, and so actually it doesn't serve any purpose at all apart from putting a bum on a seat for a week. So that's really not the approach.
Doesn't work at all, does it?
And it will happen sometimes because you're not always completely in control of what's going on, but the approach is that we try and get the right person on the right course at the right time.
That's really good. I would love to see something similar in mainstream education. Sorry, everybody out there that's now panicking. Sorry, all the headmasters now that are looking for new jobs and are cashing in, but I would love to. And I have to take the blame. And I've said this before. Some of the way the school system works, the education system works, is down to consultants. It is my ilk of the world, if you like, that have broken it. Because if you employ a consultant and say, I want to get to the top 10 on whatever, we'll get you there. If you want to say, I want 90% of my students to pass their exams, fine. We'll get 90% of your students through their exam. Doesn't necessarily mean we'll give them a rounded education. Doesn't necessarily mean we'll do everything that's necessary. But we'll hit all the tick boxes and we'll deliver the project.
It's about being able to take that holistic view, isn't it, or that long-term view. And that's some of the challenges that we have, because we'll also be chased by ministers for targets every year in terms of what we can achieve. And again, we'll get pushed to achieve particular targets, which aren't always the best things for the learners that we're working with.
I'm intrigued. I can see the look in your eyes. And I can see the total dedication. And you exist completely for rehabilitation. There's no level of punishment with you at all, is there?
Not at all, no.
And it almost looks like if somebody didn't pay you to do this, it wouldn't stop you. You'd keep going.
Well, I think it's more to do with being a teacher, I think, because particularly in adult education, you don't go into teaching to make money. You go into teaching because you're quite driven to do it, and I've been in teaching since I was about 25, so I've always been a teacher. And I think that's something about teaching, it's the difference between a job and a vocation. I think, and it's something that just drives you. And then at one stage I kind of dipped my toe in the water of working in prisons, and that's where it just kind of clicked for me. It's very much a Marmite thing. Some people will come in and they can't hack it at all. But other people will come in and they'll be like me, they'll be there forever. And interestingly, the principal of Milton Keynes College, Julie Mills, she started her career as working up at Wood Hill Prison.
Interesting.
Which is part of probably why we've got this massive commitment towards it, because she's always championed the cause. It's very, very close to her kind of personal values and what she believes in. So,
well, I can see that completely. Like you say, it has to be a vocation. I mentor young enterprise teams, and so does Terry, actually. How are you guys getting on, by the way, Terry?
Very well.
Very well?
Yeah.
Not long now? Ready for the trade fair?
They're entering.
Are they ready?
No. But they really have turned a corner.
Yeah. I mean, it's fine. You've got 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I told them yesterday.
Yeah. No sleep for the next 2 weeks and you'll be laughing.
That's right.
I don't know if you know much about Young Enterprise, but
tell me, that'd be interesting.
Young Enterprise is fab. It's the closest thing you can get at school to being in business.
Right.
So effectively, as of September, school students come together again, totally voluntary, and they form, to all intents and purposes, a genuine company.
Sounds like something I did when I did A-level economics.
Yes, quite possible.
Yeah,
and that company then trades from September right the way through till July. They don't all make it to July. And then you see, and you have to pay corporation tax, and you have to pay everything, you have to take salary, and it's a fantastic project.
Yeah.
It sounds a bit cliched, but I really have seen it change people's lives. And I'm Terry's first year in he's been helping us with the one-day programs that we run in school for a long time. He's now taken the plunge and has his full-time team, don't you, mate?
Yeah, certainly do.
Well done, Terry.
To say herding kittens, herding kittens is probably about right. It's brilliant. I mean, and when you see somebody pick up, and there's that moment, isn't there, where you're talking to them, and then there's this kind of spark that appears in their eye, and you think, okay, that's it. You've nailed it. You've understood it. This is now going to work. Do you see the same sort of thing?
For us, it's interesting because obviously the route of self-employment is quite a good one for offenders to go down, because then the big issue is, when they come out of prison, is about declaring their offence, which they're legally obliged to do. They're not supposed to hide it. But obviously, if you're running your own business, you haven't really got to declare to anybody apart from the bank manager. And about 25% of the people that we work with say they're doing qualifications, and their intention is to set up their own business, probably as sole traders, but to set up their own business when they get out. And we can work with them on that in terms of the skills such as maths and English, but also talk to them about your bookkeeping, how you actually run a business, and also the realities actually these days is a lot of trades you want to go into. A lot of the stuff is also working for agencies, and it's actually if you do train up, say, in construction, you're more than likely, if you go out to get a job, to work for an agency than to work for a big construction company. And actually, how to work for an agency is actually quite a skill in itself, in order not to get lost in terms of how, because you have actually got to do your own books. You're actually self-employed when you're working for them. And actually, we're starting now. We've really focused on it this year with the guys that want to go out to say, you're more than likely to work for an agency in this trade. Don't panic. We'll show you how to do it.
And it's interesting, the agency world at the moment, isn't it? Because you get holiday pay and sick pay, and all that is wrapped up within the agency. And yet you're still working for yourself. So they kind of do the books, and then they send you money, and you go, oh, look, someone's done my books, I've got a paycheck. No, you haven't.
It's not, but it's quite but it's something that can put people off, and so we kind of identified that as a barrier, and it's something that we're now kind of developing a short program that we can do with the guys to say, just to raise your awareness, let you know.
Stick it on the night school list at the college. It will fill up, honestly.
Absolutely.
And of course, a lot of these agencies currently run this lovely setup where they actually make you form a company, don't you? You become a director of a limited company. And then, of course, that pays its tax, and you have this to declare and that to declare and all the rest of it. And it is a minefield.
It is a challenge, and we do a lot of work with sort of local market information around all the prisons to see what are the jobs to go out into. You run one report that says what's the biggest sort of type of employer, and the biggest employer out there are agencies. Especially as you say in things like the construction trade, absolutely,
warehousing,
all of those sort of things. There's an awful lot of trades that are looked
after. All the logistics, all the kind of work in doing the cleaning jobs and stuff like that. It's all agency
backbone of the country stuff, really, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And I've mentioned before, actually, that we live in a world where I think the future of employment is going to be the micro business, and I think we're becoming much more like that, especially in the UK. Where that's not to say we can't do huge projects. We can, but we'll do a massive project with maybe 10 or 20 small and micro businesses all working hand in hand to create that project, to deliver it. And then at the end of it, we all just scurry off back to our little lives, and we may never come across each other again. And that's the way I see things changing, as opposed to the old style, especially in the building world, where you had the big building contractor and they employed everybody and they controlled it, and you would go there for a job for life. Those days have gone.
No more job for life, definitely.
No, absolutely.
Sally's been in a job for 24 years.
Well, yeah, you have quite literally served life.
That, I don't know.
Would you do anything else?
I can't imagine not teaching. I'll tell you, the only other thing I could do if you go off in completely another direction is my partner used to run a independent record shop, and he still does it online. And the only other thing, if I won the lottery, is tomorrow we'd open up a record shop, and I'd be the girl. I used to be Saturday girl. I used to do this during the day. This time last year, I was doing this during the day.